Is it okay for schools catered towards children to have LGBTQIA topics? Or even clubs or mental health services? So I was part of this dissertation experiment where there was story time and then discussion. And what we're trying to see is if the third grader and fifth graders are engaged in the story and if they understood what was happening and what was being shared. Teacher told the story to the kids about how Penguin Dad 1 and Penguin Dad 2 raised baby penguin. And the question is it okay that Penguin Dad 1 and Penguin Dad 2 raised this baby penguin? Or is it okay if the zoo separated this penguin family because they're gay penguins and you want the baby penguin to be raised by a heterosexual couple? And during the discussion, the children had the opportunity to tell the teacher how they felt about the story. And there are some kids who are like, love is love, and that is so mean. They should be all together because, they grew up with that family and you shouldn't tear them apart and all these kinds of things, right? They're third graders. They seem to understand that quite well. In this urban setting, they have classmates who have lesbian parents, gay parents, and all that kind of stuff. So they kind of understand what's going on there. So for example, let's say you're a child and you've always known you're different. You just don't know why you're different. And if we're going to talk about me growing up in school, in church, without any notion of LGBTQIA topics. So where did I get information about gay stuff? I knew they existed because people around me said, don't hang out with that girl over there, she's gay. And if you hang out with her, then you're gay too. That is what it is. So do children know about gay? Yes, they did. But it's a bad thing to be gay. This was back in my day, okay? This is not like Gen Zer. This is millennial talking, all right? So as a child, I knew of the concept, but it was bad. It was something to be avoided. And so if I was gay, then there's something wrong with me. So would it have been helpful if there was a class that taught the topic of LGBTQIA? The danger of not talking about it is that children are inherently curious and inquisitive, and they have Google nowadays and have social media nowadays. And then they're gonna make connections and conclusions for themselves that is not accurate. Oh, my favorite streamer just came out as trans because they said A, B, and C, and that's why they're trans. If I resonated with that, A, B, and C, I must also be trans. That is what the conservatives they're talking about, is the danger of it. So they're like, oh, we should not give platform to trans people because our children are watching the trans people and they are transitioning at a very young age because their favorite streamer, celebrity, idol came out as trans and transitioned and made it seem like it's such a beautiful life and they love themselves now. And that is because there is a lack of education for children. And all they can rely upon is people who are talking about it. And who's talking about it? The trans people, the gay people. Because all they can do is share their experience with other people. Because when they were going through these things, nobody was talking to them about it. Representation is important, but it has to be accurate. And it's hard to be accurate when people are so diverse. So as long as you're getting good information, right information, and the schools have the opportunity to source that out. Should schools be talking about it? I say it would be helpful, but it is very hard for schools to implement such things because I think the parents would not be okay with it. Should parents be okay with it? If it were me, I would say parents should definitely be doing it. But the thing is, parents don't. And so would I rather my kid go to their school or their doctor to get accurate information? Or do I want them to go to Google or Twitch or YouTube? Which I know is what they're doing. We all did it. Right? If you happen to have gay questions and you found out your teacher was gay, what's the likelihood of you talking to your teacher about it? There are some people who would talk to the teacher about it because that's the only gay person they know. And flip side is if the only gay person you know is a Twitch streamer, then you would ask that Twitch streamer about their experience about being gay. Is that reliable though? I would feel more comfortable if my child went to a professional, like a therapist. To ask about these things. Otherwise, it's just very individualized and misinformation can cause more confusion than not. If we're gonna do it, make it optional, I think it's more of like something that you talk to your therapist about. So the school counselor, if the guidance counselor is even trained in that topic, I think it'll be more beneficial. But since nobody even talks to their guidance counselor, that's the thing. You have these kinds of services, but do they avail of it? Do they feel safe enough to do it, right? I rather have somebody who knows what they're talking about to talk about it with my children, especially if I know that they're struggling with it. But not all parents are the same, and I'm sorry. Parents are not all made equal. A lot of neglect. And if you're gonna say you're teaching my children to be gay, that is the misnomer, because you can't teach people to be gay. I just want everybody to know, and I want them to understand. Just because your child has homosexual sex does not make them homosexual. And I don't know why that is so hard for somebody to understand. Just because a homosexual has straight sex does not make them straight. It doesn't. It's just sex. That was it. It's not like, oh, I had sex and it altered my brain and now I am gay. It's not. It doesn't work like that. A gay person is gay because they fall in love with the same sex. That is where the difference is. So when we say the gay experience, it's not all about sex. That is where people go wrong. They always want to just equate LGBTQIA with sex. It has nothing to do with it whatsoever. It really is dependent upon who you're attracted to and who you fall in love for, who you develop feelings for. And so when we say gay people are born that way, they really are. It's not a choice. Like every gay person you talk to, no matter what they want to admit to your face about, everybody just wants to be quote unquote normal. So if they had a choice, they would totally choose to be quote unquote normal. Normal meaning straight. Because in society, normal means straight. Anything that makes us the same as everybody else and not different and not be targeted as other would be preferable. And so quite frankly, there's no danger in having LGBT topics in school. It just promotes self-acceptance, love, and non-judgment. It just promotes awareness of other people's experiences. That we're all people and we're not all the same. And that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. And it's okay to be different. And it's okay to love ourselves and not harm ourselves. Because we're different. It raises awareness and makes people feel like they belong somewhere and makes them feel like they're being seen, that they are represented, that they are not considered as quote unquote other. But let's not promote the things that are taking away from that. Because there are a lot of things about the LGBTQIA community that's overcomplicating things that you really don't need to. And as children, you're drawn to that kind of stuff because you want to define yourself. But you fall into the trap of over-defining yourself that you kind of box yourself in. And it creates some kind of cognitive dissonance. And it creates more confusion than not.